Hello, my name is Brian. I am not an otaku, just wanted to make that clear before going on. I do, however, like anime and manga. I am probably also one of the few people who has absolutely no Asian genes, to my knowledge, yet started learning Japanese before discovering anime and manga, with the exception of, English dubbed Saturday morning cartoons. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon don't really count. So, moving on to a completely different topic. One of the reasons I always hated English class wasn't because I wasn't good at it. I actually enjoy analyzing literature, but because most of the literature you look at is either designed for entertainment exclusively or attempts to be deep and thus fails utterly. In the former case, yes, it can be a fun read, but searching for true depth is like drinking water from a stone. I mean, come on. Uh, the latter, though, usually tries to be preachy and deep, and often succeeds only in making itself really uninteresting. And, however, here's where the two thoughts come together. Anime. I've found that anime often possesses far more literary merit than the so-called award-winning works of prose that are doted on by English teachers. And that is what's up with this review. I am not some otaku fanboy preaching the awesomeness of my favorite anime. This is a review looking at anime from certain parameters of depth, literary merit, and filmography. Although, that said, there are certain elements, such as badassery, that simply cannot be ignored. Don't get me wrong, I'm not some stuffy professor with a thesis. I'm a 20-year-old college engineering student. I very much like the explosions. Hell, the things that make the peoples fall down is what initially brought me into anime to begin with. Since then, though, I have seen just how deep anime can be, even with the entertainment as the primary goal. Okay, so enough blabbing about myself and why I'm doing this. Here are my criteria. The first category of this review is poignancy. I mean, what sort of deeper meaning did this anime have? What is the theme and message behind it? What kind of introspection does it put to the viewer? Without depth, literary merit just kind of falls apart, although if you're beaten over the head with the message, the merit isn't really any greater. So, for full points, the anime must have a striking perspective on either human nature or some other kind of poignant perspective, and ideally should imply it without actually stating it, although I'm willing to be lenient if it's done particularly well. This category is worth the most of any of the categories, being worth a full 20 points. Next up is character depth and development. I mean, good anime is character-driven, just like any movie or book or anything else with literary merit. Anime explores the conflicts of interest and the deepest struggles of friends and enemies, and as such, a cardboard character is not going to get you anywhere. I mean, unless the character is the equivalent of Soldier Number 3, a static, shallow character just cannot hold a good plot. I mean, further, you have to build a character up slowly and carefully, cultivating it like a delicate flower. As such, this is also worth quite a few points, with full 15. Next is enjoyability. I mean, anime is meant first and foremost to entertain. Therefore, if I don't enjoy watching it, it's failed in that regard. This isn't worth as many points as I'd like it to, but the odds are that if this is low, then the other elements are low as well. So I mean, it stands at 10 points. Now then for filmography. Anime has an advantage over traditional film. It doesn't have any actors, sans voice actors. It doesn't use any props, any stages. The only limit to what can be shown is the artist's own skill and imagination. As such, there's plenty of room for skillful use of camera angles, since there isn't actually a camera limitation, zoom shots, slow motion, etc. I mean, good filmography can really highlight the meaning of scenes, draw attention to crucial aspects, etc. At the same time, though, everything in moderation. The overuse of camera tricks can ruin an otherwise good scene. I also include music choice and integration in this category because it's also a very dynamic part that can really influence a lot of scenes. Filmography in total gets a rating of 10. Next in the list is the comic element. I mean, a lot of anime, even almost all of them, have some sort of comic relief somewhere throughout them. I mean, others are outright comedies, but this isn't really rewarded or penalized in this score. This isn't really a judge of how funny the jokes are, per se, it's more a matter of how fitting the comedy is to the anime. A lack of comic relief can sometimes make something overly depressing and grim, but at the same time, an overabundance or even a critically misplaced joke can really ruin a otherwise very poignant scene. So I mean, this category right here is worth 10 points. Next up is the ending. I mean, how an anime ends can make or break the entire series. Two of my current all-time favorite anime, Code Geass and Elfen Lied, both have incredible endings that tie everything together, create revelations, and bring the unspoken theme to just below the surface. Yes, I would consider tragic endings to often be the best, but only because tragic endings reveal a great deal about a character. Happy endings are not necessarily penalized by me, though, if they're done well. And yes, because I'm talking about the endings, there will be spoilers. You may be warned now. Following this is badassery. Badassery, you may ask. What is that? Well, the quality of having badass things happen. Not a word, it should be. Oh well. Anyways, this category is basically about how epic are the fight scenes, how epic was the main hero, the main villain. This is the place where I award points for making me grin while all the awesome stuff goes down. I mean, after all, hey, this is anime. Now, nudity. It seems like every anime has at least one compulsory nude scene. This doesn't mean full frontal or anything. In fact, it can be as unrevealing as a mere towel scene or even a skimpy costuming. This category isn't a facet of my hormones, quite the opposite, really. This category is judging the tastefulness of such scenes. Many scenes such as this are part of either character development, poignancy, or comic relief, and will be looked at as such. Even if there aren't any nude scenes or towel scenes, even the amount of dress, or more accurately the lack thereof, can be looked at in this section. Then there's violence. What did violence serve in the anime? Did it further character development? Did it further the plot, or was it just kind of empty and pointless? This isn't a less is more category, but nor is it a second column for badassery. This section is looking at how tasteful the violence is and how well it fit with the anime as a whole, and in that way is quite similar to the nature of the nudity judgments. However, it's not that big of a thing overall because, it's anime. There's going to be some kind of violence. And so as such, it's only worth a mere 5 points. Finally, you have the bonuses. The first bonus is the crying bonus. Yes, I'm a 20-year-old guy. Yes, some anime makes me cry. I'll admit it. I'm secure enough with myself to tell people I've cried when watching some anime. It does take a lot to make me cry, though. In order to do it, the characters and situations have to have clicked with me in a deep and meaningful way, and the event, almost certainly a death scene, has to be poignant in of itself. If an anime makes me cry, it gets an automatic +5 to its final score. Then there's the obsession bonus. Sometimes an anime makes me obsess over its meaning and characters. Now, I don't mean daydreaming about what would I do with a Geass power, or I wonder if I could excel as a ninja. What I mean is obsessing over the messages and the characters of the anime. And I don't mean simple introspection, but true obsession, being unable to truly shake my thoughts away from it for at least a few hours, and to have my own feelings caught up in it rather than simply my imagination. If an anime is able to take hold of me so completely, which isn't common, it gains an additional +5 to its final score. Sorry that there weren't more pictures during that whole part there, so I'm just going to throw in some random anime pictures right now, just to, give some flair.